Hello and welcome back to day 9 of the trading series. Today we're going to look at April 12th's trade here that I had submitted. This was a Friday, I can tell because I ended up giving like the whole monthly or like weekly screenshot. At this point, I had only been in Strategy Wars for like 2 weeks or so on this at this point. So I did show the monthly just so that way you would see like all of the days on there. I do that at the end of every Friday during Strategy Wars just to show full transparency, to show that it's all on the same account, that there's no funny business going on. But anyhow, I can tell it's a Friday just because of the way that I posted here, but I also love Fridays and I do tend to trade Fridays. So that's just a little side note. If you are new to the channel here and never heard me say that before, I do like Fridays a lot for the assets that I trade, which is the US indices. They tend to trend pretty nicely, and I find that I can really get some good volume with the Friday trades, usually. Now, obviously, there's some days where they just doesn't work out like that, but for the most part, Fridays tends to be a pretty good day for me, so I do like to trade them. I know for some people, they always ask, like, do I trade Fridays or not? Because it can be one of those days that people advise not to trade. I personally love it. The actual trades themselves, there are 2 of them here. And I'm going to go over the first one, and then in the next video, I'm actually going to go over the second one because there are 2 different reasons why I entered. These trades were both entered in for completely different reasons, so I'm going to give them each their own video as far as like an analysis and a breakdown. But I do want to just show you guys they were both taken on the same day. So I am trading on the NASDAQ 100. Is this the 1-minute time frame? I did use the 15-minute and the 1 hour for my bias with zone breaks. So what you're seeing here, this shaded box here, is based off of the 1 hour and the 15-minute zone that I drew. And that was what I was waiting for to see a nice clean break of. At the time that I was looking to get into this trade, this is actually in the morning. So this initial breaking that you are seeing here, I actually was not around to take this trade. By all purposes, as far as like a breakout trader goes, this would have counted though for having your bias as a bearish bias and a bearish candle and a bearish smiley face. So you could have taken this. I just happened to not be around trading at this time. So this would have been a possible entry. You would have entered at close of candle. This would have been a pretty heavy stop loss. You would have to cover the whole zone. You'd have to cover the top of that zone there, and the entry would be down here. So that's kind of a heavy stop loss. Now, depending on what you're targeting for your take profit, if you had still targeted your take profit where I was targeting my initial one, that probably would have been worth it risk to reward wise, at least over like a 1, maybe closer to a 1.5. So yeah, you probably could have taken that. I was not around though. So nonetheless, I didn't take this trade. But in case anybody's wondering why that one wasn't taken, it just didn't fit my trading hours where I am in the market. I did, however, come into the market around this area. So now I was looking at this trade. Again, there was this initial break, which is good for me to see. I'll pull back into the zone to retest the zone it broke from, and then another bearish smiley face that's breaking out of it, confirming that we're likely going to continue to drop. So I was just looking for an entry in this area. Again, I was a few minutes late to the market than I normally would have been, so I entered at this point. But my analysis was based off of this initial bearish smiley face breakout, retest of this zone, and then a continuation bearish smiley face showing that there is going to be continued momentum in the bearish direction. So that is why I got into that trade. And my stop loss in this case, it wasn't all the way at the tippy top here. I did kind of target the top of this level, and I will show you guys that better on the screen. I didn't go for the very top of that wick. This was more just me because it had already retested. Honestly, I was kind of between, and I remember this trade because I remember being between whether I should just do my stop loss here, and either way would have been fine. But obviously this would have being here and then going down to here would have been a better risk to reward. I just remember not loving this setup because it was so close to opening and the market can be a little bit volatile. So I remember wanting to kind of like cover my bases here. But typically, if you're following like a breakout retest style, if you have the break, you have the retest of the zone, you can just cover the top area with your stop loss for where the retest was. In this case, I was being a little more cautious, and that's just how it worked out for me that Friday. But yes, I was being a little more cautious, and then I was targeting a 2R. My initial thought here was trying to target a bank number that was the 1800 bank number you guys can see here. And in hindsight, it would have worked out and it did eventually get there. However, for this particular trade, I did get to 1.5 reward, which was around this area. And I did move to break even. And so what that means is I took my stop loss from here and I moved it slightly in profit just below where my entry was. And that's in order to allow my trade to run risk-free and secure profits just in case. Because of where my entry was, the market did come back and retest right at the tippy top of that zone. So you guys can see like where it did come to retest. And it did just like pat me out of where my trailing stop was. So that kind of sucks, but it is what it is. On this particular trade, I did make $88.40 because like I said, I moved my trades to slightly in profit. So that way I make a little bit of something on the trade. But that did suck for sure. But that did kind of like alert me to kind of watch what was going on because then it comes down, it came back up, it makes a double top here at this area, which I knew was a key area of price because that's where I had a breakout, which was like a previous support level turned into now resistance level. So I was intrigued by the market for sure at this point, and I was waiting to see what it would do if I would have an opportunity to get back in and potentially grab the move that I was hoping for to hit that 1800 price. Because this is just a retracement, and I had figured once I got the second double top at this level that I was probably gonna have to get back in, and I was just waiting for the opportunity to do that. Now, I'll get into that trade and why I entered into the next video, and I will explain a little bit more about that. I don't want to mess that up because that was based off of separate entry criteria, kind of what I'm explaining here, versus this one, which was just a clean breakout, retest, and continuation. And like I said, had I held it and not moved, yeah, I probably would have gotten my 2R, but that's just not how I trade, and I like to secure my trades, so I'm okay with that, and it doesn't make me mad that like I could have gotten the 2R, and it's fine. I don't mind it. I ended up getting a 2R over here anyway, so it all worked out. But we'll get into that trade in the next video. That way it's getting its own love because it does kind of deserve it, because this trade isn't based off of breaking out as much as it's based off of more a market like pattern, which is like this double top or M. Some people call them M's. And that's what is being seen here. And that's more of a rejection and like a double top rejection off of a level that I already identified to the left. So it's a little bit of a different entry and a reason for it. But we'll get into that in the next video. All right, you guys. So that is it for this video. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below.